Hello and welcome to episode 1410 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, May 2nd. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning.
Good morning. How we doing?
Oh, not too bad. Send some well wishes out to our boy Joe. We didn't do an episode yesterday because he's recovering. We're not going to give out all his issues or whatever, but he's recovering from a little something. Nothing too grave. I don't want to overstate it, but that's why we didn't do an episode yesterday without Joe. But hopefully he gets better with everything. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. A little tired this morning. It's bright and early on a Friday, so and I was up late writing last night. But
Writing or crying?
Oh, maybe a little both.
A little bit of both, right? Just sobbing tears at the fact that it's been a rough week for you.
It has been, yeah.
Two substantial send-downs, demotions, we should say. One, obviously, kind of shocking, to be honest. The other, not so much, and more of a meme here. But Jared Kelenic and Jake Burger get sent out this week. Now, I'm putting the Kelenic in there as a Justin crying thing, more as a joke. You weren't really in on him this year after, 12 years of staying by his side?
Feels like it, yeah.
Felt like it, yeah. But Jake Burger was somebody that I know, as we were talking through this before the show started, you didn't get everywhere. But I know you had a big season for him. You thought going to Texas, his first good park. Not actually. Chicago White Sox park is a good park, bad team. But then Marlins was bad park, bad team. So this was his first good setup. So it's a good team, solid park, and we thought, hey, things could come together. So this show was pro Burger. I had it in my mind that you were a bit hotter on him than you were, but you had him for 33 bombs. 249 average, and just a nice solid season. He gets sent out. Now, they made clear that this is kind of a re-rack, go down, crush AAA pitching for hopefully 2 weeks or so, and then come right back up. This isn't supposed to be something major. He's a 190 average, 56 WRC plus, and 3 homers for Jake Burger. Are you holding through this demotion?
I think it really depends on the league you're in, but I probably wouldn't drop him in a 15.
Picked 120 on average.
Yeah, this is surprising. I'm very surprised. We haven't even updated roster resource at this point. Interested to see who they're going to.
Blaine Crim, not a congressman.
Yeah, no, it could be a congressman for sure.
Right, but that's who's coming up. I think a softball-looking son of a gun.
I get it from a real life perspective. He's not a great defender to begin with, and then he's struggling offensively. But I mean, like this is kind of
but sending him out.
That's who Jake Burger is. Like he still hits the ball really, really hard. He's gonna go through these kind of streaks of struggle, but then he gets hot, and like I don't think that there's that much in the profile it goes, hey, this guy is garbage now. So
that's what I'm saying, man. I'm stunned that Burger was sent out.
Yeah, especially with they've got Corey Seager on the IL. They just put Higgy Asioka on the IL. Like, where are you getting your pop from, Texas? Like
the guy they called up, this Blaine Crim guy. I mean, that's what they're hoping for, of course. 7 bombs in 28 games. He is 28 years old. This isn't like necessarily somebody that you need to rush out and go get. By the way, I want to be clear on that. But, has been kind of a power slugging guy in the minors, journeyman type minor leaguer. Well, actually not journeyman because he's been with Texas, but just a long-term minor leaguer. I don't think he's going to be the solution. Again, this seems short-term. I just am surprised it wasn't a benching versus a send out.
Me too.
But maybe he's deep in his head. I mean, this would have been a week to get right. 4 lefties in the last 6 games for Burger. That's exactly what he might need. You might have thought he would need to get unlocked, and he's not unlocked. You throw in Jock Peterson, who's been even worse. He has no options, so he can't get sent out. We've talked about Marcus Semien, our boy, playing pretty poorly. Outside of like Wyatt Langford and Josh Smith, they can't really get things going on the offensive side. To their credit, they're still 16-16. Nathan Eovaldi putting the team on his back. Actually, the pitching in general. DeGrom's been totally fine. Maybe he hasn't been like peak DeGrom, but he's been very good. Tyler Mahle's been good. But, there's still.
Tyler Mahle has been amazing. Tyler Mahle,
I don't want to understate him.
Yeah, he has the second best ERA for any starter in baseball.
Is it behind Eovaldi? Because I don't think Eovaldi's ERA is that low, but he's been amazing.
I think it's if I remember correctly, it's behind Yamamoto.
That makes sense. Yep.
So just double checking. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, the third best now. Because of yesterday, he allowed an earned run.
Unbelievable.
Or actually, no, it's tied with Max Fried for
okay. Well, we'll accept that, I guess.
He's been unreal good. Like just. So the pitching has been just supporting.
It's stabilizing.
Yeah, but still, like I'm just really surprised they would.
Would you buy Burger? Would you go buy him somewhere? Because I think you're getting a real discount. When someone gets sent out, he's probably on the verge of being cut in some spots. And if you can save somebody and say, hey, instead of cutting him, I'll take him off your hands.
If you're one of those teams that like needs power, especially, like I would buy low or just pick up and stash if you have the ability to do that.
Because he will get cut in a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
So it's tough scene for Burger, but he'll be back and hopefully it ends up being a blip, a part of his story. Now, again, I did include Kelenic here more in reference to the fact that you loved him for many years. You were off this year. His demotion is not a surprise, but just a general thought on him. Is he just cooked? I mean, he is still just 25. I think that's worth at least noting, but age can only do so much for you. We use the age thing with Kelenic all the time. That's part of what kept us bought in. I say us, not me, definitely you. I'm not claiming any of that, but where are we at with Kelenic here? Because again, he was terrible. 47 WRC plus. He deserved it. He's an 84 career. Is he just cooked?
I don't want to say a 25-year-old with his pedigree is cooked, but yeah, he's about as close to cooked as you're going to get from.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
Like, there's nothing in the profile that says like he's going to turn this around. Like
this is right-handed Joe Adell, man. That's all this is. And people are going to keep trying to buy in. In fact, like it is so Joe Adell. That was just literally a perfect comp. I am a genius. God, I'm smart. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I was joking about the magnitude there, but I do think that is a perfect comparison. A big-time prospect who is still younger than you think that we want to keep giving chances to, but we shouldn't.
Yeah,
I think he's cooked from a fantasy perspective at this point, Jared Kelenic. So you can easily cut even in something like an NL only. All right, let's get into some two-start pitchers. There were a lot of studs going this week, and as you know, you don't need us to tell you to start those studs. So if you're wondering why they didn't even mention Drew Rasmussen, they didn't even mention Nathan Eovaldi, because again, what are we going to say? Start them. Zach Wheeler, guys like that. But there are plenty of guys that do need some discussion, including some that you might not think would normally be on a list like this. And every once in a while, we have to check in on somebody who is an established stud, and we happen to kick off with a guy like that with Zac Gallen, because not only has he not been himself, not been particularly great, but he has got a devastating two-step coming up. So this is a very difficult decision for our 10 and 12 team brethren. Mets, Dodgers. Both are at home, so that's nice. But that is two very sharp teams coming in to face Zac Gallen. You love the 26% K rate. That's great. That's in line with what he's been doing. But the walk rate's up again this year. It was at 9% last year, which we could live with, but now it's up at 11. 1.4 homer 9. We're looking at a 4.93 ERA and a 1.30 WHIP. I gave him a pass for last year with Gallen. I said classic World Series hangover, nothing more, nothing less. Let's buy back in. And a month in, I feel wrong. I have some concerns about Zac Gallen. Where do you come out, and are you starting him in this two-step?
Well, he is coming off the best start, I think, of the year for him. Went up against the Mets, who's about to face again. Went 6 innings, only allowed 1 run, struck out 8. So, and the 1 run was just a shot by Soto, like he just crushed.
And let's not forget the 13 punchies in Yankee Stadium in the second start of the year. So, like, we've seen these two. Wow, he goes to New York and dominates, because that was at at the Mets. So when he
He's
go, maybe he
struggling
needs to
at
get traded to New
home.
York. Yeah.
He's struggling at home. Like, you look at the splits right now, and he's struggling versus lefties. He's allowing at like a 271 batting average versus left-handed hitting, and then at home he's got a 641 ERA at home,
Jeez.
and a 338 ERA on the road. So I don't. Did he just have a baby or something? Like, it's just
I don't know. Yeah, where things are tight at home and
yeah,
they're up
like,
late. I don't know.
I want to say this is kind of a blip, but it's also, I think it's somewhat indicative of kind of Gallen's profile. He's always been a high contact pitcher, and when you're a high contact pitcher, you're going to put yourself in some spots that things aren't going to go well for at times. So I just think that maybe he is not the stud that we thought he was, and he's more of a mid rotation guy.
Okay.
And we are still living a little bit on his, on his previous work. But I mean, this is a team that I want a piece of. This
Right. Win potential is high.
Yeah, Diamondbacks are really, really good offensively. They've got a good defense behind him. And all he's got to do is let that defense pick him up and not let the ball go out of the yard. I think he needs to attack the zone a little bit more because he's just walking too many guys. I'm going to assume his zone percentage is probably up. Yeah, his zone percentage is up a massive. Oh, no. So he is attacking the zone. So his zone percentage is up a massive amount from last year, but kind of close to where it was in 2023. Interesting. Yeah.
That is kind of, I mean, so
I'll say the big thing is he's not getting swings outside of the zone. So maybe they're just spitting on some of his stuff. I will say the stuff plus is really bad this year. It's an 88 stuff plus.
88 for Gallen?
Yeah.
Jeez. He still has a 26% K rate. So obviously stuff plus, you don't have to have it to get strikeouts, but that is concerning.
Yeah, that is really concerning. I wonder if there's an injury. And this is the thing about Gallen is he's had some like elbow issues and things like that never really got cleaned up, through surgery over the course of the last few years. And maybe the stuff is just degrading because of that. Maybe like there is something going on that he's just been pitching through, because this does feel like a decline over the course of the last few years. And maybe we're just starting to see the beginning of, not the end necessarily, but at least the beginning of like a real big decline in, a move towards some sort of surgery. Because when we threw 148 innings last year, the stuff was definitely diminished then. It was a 92 stuff plus rating. Yeah, I'm a little worried. I was gonna write him up actually today as a buy low, and now I'm reconsidering that.
It's got a 104 location plus for Gallen.
That's something at least.
So, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything. I'm torn between a 104 location plus. I guess it's similar to the way stuff plus doesn't always perfectly correspond with strikeout rate, because I see a 104 location plus and an 11% walk rate. I'm like, why is he walking so many? I don't know. I'm really torn here. I think he's still solid. I think I'm still starting him in 12s. I don't know if I am in 10s. I don't think you have to.
Yeah,
how about that?
Which
feels weird to say.
With the Dodgers on the docket, I don't know that and both these starts are at home where he's been struggling. Like, a lot of his walk issues have been at home, and I don't know what that is about. I don't know if it's just small sample.
Part of it is that he only has 3 starts on the road, and he has the 2 gems in the 2 New York spots for Gallen, and then he got beat up by the Cubs in Wrigley.
Yeah.
So part of it is just he doesn't have much data on the road.
He's only allowed 5 walks on the road. He's allowed 13 walks at home. He's got 26 strikeouts on the road, 17 at home. Is this now I'm gonna go look and see if this was an issue last year. No, last year he was great at home, and not so great on the road. So
as you can tell from our going around and round here, we're struggling a bit with Gallen.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm gonna have to sit down and watch. And I did watch his last start. He looked good in his last start. So
well, yeah.
I'm a little. That's why I was like, oh, okay, look good in his last start. The xERA is much lower than the ERA. Like, I think this might be a guy I write up as a buy low. And now I'm.
Would you cut him potentially in 10-teamers? Anyway?
Probably not, but I can understand somebody doing that, especially if there's somebody out there that you're going, oh, I really want to get this guy, and Gallen's the only guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what sort of roster construction you'd have in a 10 where Gallen has to be the cut. Like, you're so locked in everywhere else, and you got to get this guy off the wire, and Gallen's the only cut. I still
you drafted or you picked up Molly. You drafted guys like Luzardo and Pivetta.
Yeah,
and,
I guess there is a world.
You picked up Shane Smith or something like that. I still think I would probably drop Shane Smith over dropping.
Yeah,
Gallen.
I'm torn, folks. I'm gonna say sit him in 10s, but not cut him.
Yeah,
I think you got to run him in 12s and 15s. So I'm just not sure you're going to have a better rotation, especially 15s. I think it's not even really a choice. Am I out of pocket on that?
No,
with Gallen. Okay, I think you just got to kind of keep riding it out here in 15s and see where it goes. At least he's coming off a good start, although it is to face the same team again, which we know there's no indication one way or the other when the first start goes. What the first start does not impact the second. So the fact that he beat the Mets up last time doesn't put him in a better position to do well this time or anything like that. And then you got the Dodgers looming on the weekend. So a little bit scary there. Let's go to Luis Severino. Gets a little revenge match on the weekend. He'll invite Seattle and the Yankees to Sacramento here. He's been pretty good. Nice little 3.30 ERA. The core skills underneath are not eye-popping by any stretch. Like, he's getting the job done, but more of a better, better for them, the Athletics, than he is fantasy. 117 whip is also not bad, but when I say that, I'm talking about pretty modest 18% K rate, 7% walk. So it's like you're happy with what Severino's given you, but with the Yankees coming to visit, and I will also point out Seattle against righties, they've been incredible this year, like legitimately awesome so far this year. Now, I don't know if that's just Jorge Polanco alone because he has like 412 homers, but this is not one easy, one hard. This is two pretty difficult teams coming to that minor league park for Severino. Where do you come out with Sevy?
Yeah, I'm not doing this one.
Where?
Not in Sacramento.
Where? What league types? Anywhere?
I mean, I guess the 15 you might have to.
That's kind of what I'm saying. But this is the number 2 and number 4 offenses in WOBA against righties. Number 2 for the Yankees, number 4 for the Mariners.
Want to hear his home away splits?
I mean, I guarantee they're devastating, but yeah, give them to us.
On the road, he's got a .95 ERA. At home, it's 5.11.
Yeah,
I don't want this one.
I don't think I want to start this anywhere.
Yeah, I don't want to start this at all.
I don't even think I want to start this in a 15. Now, I wouldn't cut Severino in a 15. I would still hold him. And again, we always talk about the whole, if you can't start in a 2-step, you have to question their spot on your roster. I think you can make a case to still hold him. Would you, let me just hypothetical, because they're not, but if Seattle was being Seattle of last year where they couldn't hit us, would you be more inclined to do this? Is it because Seattle's also awesome in addition to the Yankees, or is it just purely the home road splits?
It's purely the home road splits. I don't want to risk things. I don't want to risk things at Sacramento. It's just such a hard park to pitch in, and you're seeing like the issues with with a lot of guys struggling in Sacramento, and now they're bringing up one of their kind of like prospect pitchers.
Gunnar Hoagland debuts today. So Severino does get a trip to your Giants the following week. Do you feel pretty good about starting him there in 15s and 12s?
Against the Giants?
I mean, because again, you got a team that's doing pretty well, but a venue that you have to like.
I don't think I feel great about that. Not with the way the Giants are playing, but in a 15, you probably roll with it. So,
this is what I'm saying with Sevy though. Like, the surface results are nice, 330, 117 on the ERA and WHIP. But when you dig in,
maybe this is just a sell high. You try to sell for this 2 start.
Yeah.
See if someone in your 10 or 12 team league bites, or maybe even 15 team league bites on it. But I think like in a 10 team league, like this is the kind of guy you should be dropping, right? Like,
I think so. I would drop Severino on a 10 if you had him.
If you're not going to use him for this 2 start because it's at home, then you should be cutting and moving on and not worrying about soaking up the badness that might be around the corner.
Nope. I totally agree with that. And I think maybe even in 12s with Sevy.
Yeah.
Again, what are we clinging to here? If you can't use him for half of his games, he's got a 2 start at home. You're not even super confident about sending him into San Francisco. And I'm not saying I am either. I think I like it more in 15s than I do 12s. I think maybe even in 12s, you're cutting Sevy if you still have him. So yeah, this is a no-go for me. This is a little scary. AJ Smith-Shawver gets Cincinnati and then a trip to Pittsburgh. The Reds are playing a lot better now. We talked about it during the preseason there, where we thought maybe Terry Francona could bring a level of quality to this team. They're at 17 and 15, second in the division. They have a good offense. So that's the scary one there for Smith-Shawver. But then he gets to go to Pittsburgh. So that certainly lightens the load. Is he good enough to start in anything but a 15? And are you even starting him in 15s? I should ask. I shouldn't just assume there. Where are you at an AJ Smith-Shawver?
I mean, I first want to say, like, he did get like hit with a comebacker, I think, during his start on Tuesday. So the X-rays were negative. So I don't know for sure if he's actually going to make these starts. So
yeah, this is not a guarantee.
The strikeouts have been great. Everything else has not been great. His xERA,
wait. The earned runs haven't been bad. 2.3, 2.2.
Yeah.
Now it is a 4.26 ERA because he's not going deep into games.
Yeah.
4 and 2/3, 5 1/3. He is slowly stair-stepping it up a little bit there. And the last one was in Colorado.
It's a 168 whip.
Yes, the hits have been plentiful and multiple walks in 3 of the 4 starts for AJ Smith-Shawver. So
his xERA is 6.57 right now. I mean, I think at 15, this is a maybe, especially because you've got pretty good matchups with Cincinnati and at Pittsburgh. But in a 10 and 12, I don't think you should be starting this guy.
Agreed. I think I would start AJ Smith-Shawver in a 15 on the idea that, like, if you're into it, okay, you can start him. And then maybe the arm, they push him so he doesn't start against Cincy, and then you only get the Pittsburgh start. And that would be okay. If it was reversed, if the Pittsburgh start was first, I would not start him for that same concern of like, okay, they don't start him early in the week and then you only get the Cincy. But the fact that you might only get the at Pittsburgh is actually a good thing. I wouldn't even necessarily mind losing the 2-step to only get at Pittsburgh. But yeah, he's a 15-team consideration right now, AJ Smith-Shawver, and not even that high of one necessarily. Cade Povich, the young lefty for Baltimore, is on the road for Minnesota and the Angels. Neither team looking great. In fact, quite bad, both of these teams against lefties. These are 2 of the worst going. Is that good enough? You got Minnesota at 24th and the Angels at 29th in WOBA against lefties. Is that enough to get you excited about Cade Povich and his 5.16 ERA? And if so, what formats?
I don't think so. A 165 whip. Oh, just a whip killer.
Not even in 15s?
I mean, you might risk it in 15.
I mean, it's a classic stream, right?
Yeah.
Good matchups. It's 2-step. Ideally, a competent team. Obviously, they have not been amazing, but part of it has been the pitching. The offense support is there.
Both on the road. You're not even getting the protection of Camden. I mean, I don't love this. You're talking about a guy who like does not get the strikeouts that he was getting in the minor leagues, and he struggles with command and control. And it's as bad as the Angels have been as of late. Like, they still have pop in that lineup. Like, this is,
I don't care.
You're starting it
in 15s, yeah. Like, what else? Like, what else are you getting? You know, he's 83% rostered in the main. Cade Povich is.
Yeah, I was actually going to run to my main real quick and see
like,
who else is available.
If you got some names, go ahead and give them to me. But this is the thing: like, there's no pitching on the wire.
Povich is definitely not available in my main. So, let's see. In
I'm
my
starting
main,
him in 15s for sure.
my main, your options are Michael Lorenzen, who is home versus Boston. So you're not doing that.
No, thank you.
Jack Kwanowitz, who is
hard pass,
like allows the most contact in all of baseball. Quentin Priester versus Houston.
hard pass.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Sean Burke coming off of one of his best starts of the year at Kansas City.
Kansas City and home to Miami. He gets a 2-step. He's on the
he's on the board too. Okay, so and then you have Tony Gonsolin at Miami. I think I'm starting both those guys over Povich.
Who was the other one?
Tony Gonsolin at Miami.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I like Tony Gonsolin. I don't want to suggest that. I'm saying
what his first start back to, I think, right? So
yeah, and he was good though. I think he went 6. No, he has a start.
Oh,
Gonsolin already started against Miami. Does he get Miami twice in a row?
Yeah.
Oh my God, schedule gods blessing him. He went 6 against Miami with 9 punchies this week.
So yeah, I'm starting both those guys. So I think there's other options.
I don't. Like, okay, Gonsolin's available because he debuted this week, so he'll be available. Sean Burke, why would you start Sean Burke over Povich? Yeah, what the hell's so good about Sean Burke? I mean, at KC and home to Miami, that's like, let me say this.
Yeah,
he's in consideration too.
Yeah,
I'm fine to consider him, but over Povich, I think my win opportunity with Povich is much higher.
I mean, is it?
Yes. The one good thing Baltimore has is their offense. The pitching is bad. So if he can go 5 innings, which is no guarantee, I'm not listen, I want to be clear. I'm not saying Cade Povich is some stud, but this is the best setup that you can get basically with 2 bottom 6 teams against lefties. You know, both on the road isn't necessarily great. I wouldn't mind if they were both at home in Camden. With a good offensive support, yeah, he's easily ahead of Burke for me. I don't see the Burke love. And we'll get to him in a moment. We can dive a little bit further, but I don't think there's enough out there. Bet. Yeah, let's do it. DraftKings points.
Yeah, DraftKings points for
Burke v. Povich.
Yeah, all right. Done.
All right, we'll talk more about Burke here in a moment. Lucas Giolito, Texas and at Kansas City. I think 15s, yeah, pretty easily. So let's talk 10s and 12s with him. He returned this week, and I forget how he did, so I'm looking it up.
Well,
yeah, he had a quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs, 2 walks, 7 punchies, 2 homers. Not ideal, but I'm not too bugged out by that at Toronto. Where are we feeling? How good are we feeling about Giolito in 10s and 12s? Is he somebody to pick up and go?
I mean, this is one of the I didn't get to watch the start yet, so I definitely got to go and watch it. Just like box score scouting, it seems like, you know, probably exactly what you would expect from of good pitcher coming off of Tommy John, which is it's going to struggle with command and control at times, but the strikeouts and the stuff seem to be there. Shout out to Lance Brosdowski, who is just doing amazing work. If
you should just shout him out every episode. He rules, dude. I love Lance.
I love his daily updates through his Substack. And if you're looking for like just amazing pitching knowledge, like I don't know if there's anybody better in the industry right now than Lance. But he wrote up a really good thing on him through his Substack. And you can get the email Substack stuff for free. He has a premium service as well that covers but like some of the top pitching prospects if you're looking for that too. But it looks like he's had a little bit of change in arm slot according to Lance, which is interesting.
This is Giolito we're talking about, yeah.
So and he was very 4-seamer heavy.
Okay.
So I think in 10s and 12s, you're kind of picking your spots rest of the way with him. But this isn't a bad spot to pick. You've got Texas, who
we just covered.
We just covered. Like they just sent out Berger. They're still missing Seager. We've got a number of guys who are still struggling. And then Kansas City, whose offense has been pretty blah this year.
You're understating it. They've been wretched.
They're starting to get it going a little bit, which is why I said pretty blah as opposed to just terrible. I think this is a 2-start you're rolling with in 12s. I think 10s, you kind of got to choose between your other options, and you like you mentioned, this is a pretty good week for 2-steps. So you may be in a position where you're going, I'm not sitting a really good guy for, I'm not sitting Cole Reagans.
Right. To get a 2, you're not going to sit a 1-step stud to get a 2-step Giolito just yet.
Not sitting Bryce Miller, but I think in most 12s, and I think all 15s, you are rolling this one.
Yep, I think that's where I'm at with Giolito. I'm a longtime Giolito fan too. I want to be clear on that. But he is coming off the TJ, so you have to be mindful of that. The hamstring injury was what happened too in his first start in spring. I felt so bad for him. He gets all amped up for this return and immediately busts up his hammy a little bit, and that's what delayed the start.
As long as neither of these are day games, I'm
right. We don't want him with day games. He's a video game nerd like myself, so he's up late. And we saw that one ill-fated Patriots day that went so poorly for him. All right, let's continue on here. We are moving to Matthew Boyd. Are you a Boyd boy? Giants and at the Mets. I think 15s, it's a slam dunk. We're talking 10s and 12s here with Matthew Boyd.
Yeah. I mean, I think as long as Boyd is healthy, you're probably rolling with him. He's
2.70 ERA, but a 1.44 WHIP. What do you make there? Heads or tails? How do you make heads or tails of that?
He's allowing a lot of contact. I mean, it's an 85% zone contact. It's about league average, but I'm surprised it's that high. Is he a bad whip guy last year? No, he wasn't. He's basically had moments though of being a bad whip guy
for sure.
I guess
330 BABIP right now.
Yeah, I think he's getting unlucky there.
What's up with the Ks though? Only 21% for Boyd. Somebody who usually misses a lot of bats, down to a 10% swing strike rate.
When you're allowing that much contact and
you can't get to the punchies,
and you're living in the zone as much as he has been these last few years. Like this is why we're seeing kind of the strikeout rate drop down a little bit. I mean, anytime you're allowing as much contact as he is, there's going to be risk, and so I do think that again, this is a guy in 10s who probably have better options for.
Sure.
In spite of the fact that the ERA is sparkling, and that's what a lot of people look at. But I think in 12s and definitely in 15s, you're probably rolling with Matthew Boyd this week.
Yeah, 15's easy for me. 12s, I think, very much in consideration
too. Like,
right.
It's so interesting because I was very hard on the Cubs. I was really, really hard on the Cubs coming in the year. But you take away those 2 games they lost in Korea. And all of a sudden the Cubs are 19.
It was in Japan this year, wasn't it? It was in Korea last year.
Yeah, sorry, in Japan. They're 19 and 11.
I'm just kidding.
In the United States this year. Like that.
Damn. Can I what was I gonna say? Shit, I forget.
No idea.
I lost it. Yeah, I lost it. Whatever.
Can't read your mind.
Yeah, I know. I mean, usually you can actually, but on this one, you're not gonna get there because I can't remember what I was going to say.
It's way too early in the morning for me to be
right. Your mind reading powers don't fire up until at least 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, I like Boyd. Again, run him in 15s, run him in 12s, 10s. You probably got better options. Let's talk another Mason favorite here. We talked a couple hitters early. Brady Singer and Andrew Abbott. We'll get to Abbott in a moment, but Singer and Abbott are both going to Atlanta and Houston. So an interesting little 2-step there. Big challenging week for this upstart Reds team. They can make some real noise here. I was talking earlier, about Francona kind of getting them on track, and they're looking pretty solid. That this will be a huge test for them going to those 2 teams, 2 playoff ball clubs. Singer, again, I think 15s, you do not have anybody better than 3.24 ERA, 108 WHIP Singer. So that's a slam dunk. Is he a slam dunk in 12s, and is he on the board in 10s? With these 2 starts here at Atlanta, at Houston for Brady Singer?
Oh man, this is you say you don't have anybody better than this, but
You don't.
he's actually been really, really good at home for some reason. I don't know what it is about Cincinnati that he loves so much, though he's only had 2 road starts. And interestingly,
one was bad, the other was fine. He crushed Miami, and Milwaukee beat him up a little bit, but he did still have 7 Ks at Milwaukee.
This definitely has the makings of a regression week for Brady Singer. It's 2 tough road matchups versus Atlanta, who's starting to be better, and Houston, who started off dreadful and has been much better as of late. I have that like sneaking suspicion where I'm like, in a 10, I think I'd be tempted to, just because the service stats have been so good.
Right.
But like, I do feel like this is one of those weeks that could go really, really poorly, really, really fast.
Sure.
I think you're right, though. In a 12 and 15, like, I just don't know how you don't start him. Like, the underlying numbers, they're definitely worse. 366 xERA. Like, but that's still fine. Like, that's
still pretty darn good. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and we're talking about a guy with pretty much like the best strikeout, definitely the best strikeout rate of his career. He can get in trouble with walks, and the command has been good this year, but I don't know how much I trust it. He lives in the zone, so when the hits are falling, he's going to be in trouble. My brain remembers what Brady Singer has been, and I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. But the numbers right now say like you probably should roll with this in 12s and 15s. And some 10s, but like my heart remembers the heartbreak I've had with Brady Singer over the last few years, and I don't know that I trust this at all. Like this,
he's
definitely
bit you a few
feels like
times.
and this feels like one of those times you could get bitten with these matchups. And like I said, for some reason he's been better at home, like really, really good at home, even at home. And now he's on the road for both these starts in parks that are not necessarily like just because they're on the road doesn't mean these parks are favorable for him.
Truist and I almost said Enron and Dyken Park, not places you love to be against those 2 offenses. So it is a challenging week for sure for Brady Singer. What about Andrew Abbott, the lefty, walking everybody? Are you getting anywhere? This is a reverse where with Singer, we were saying lock in 10 in 15s and 12s, and let's discuss 10s. For Abbott, no shot in 10s. Let's discuss 12s and 15s with him. Where do you come out with Andrew Abbott right now?
It's unreal, like how he is figuring out how to get away with this, like
with all the walks.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got 284 ERA, but his walk rate right now is 15%. It's and he's allowing an 87% zone contact. So like he's allowing a lot of contact. What he's doing is just saying, I'm not going to throw it in the zone. Like last year he was a 51.7% zone rate guy. And this year he's at 44%. Remember, we talked about zone rate, like it's 1 or 2% it can be pretty massive in terms of a change. Like he's almost 8% less. Like he's saying, I'm not throwing in the zone, which probably is a good thing because Andrew Abbott allows so much zone contact. I think the problem here is, there's a lot of problems. One, I just don't think Andrew Abbott is a very good pitcher. But 2, I do worry when a guy has been dealing with like shoulder or elbow issues the way Abbott has, if the fact that he can't hit the zone is indicative of he is not right physically.
Right.
And like I said, I don't think Andrew Abbott is a very good pitcher, generally speaking. And so I don't want to risk this with him. I think if you have been using him for his first few starts,
you thank your lucky stars.
Yeah, this is a great time to sell and just get the hell away from it. Because we're talking about a guy who has not really, I guess technically he's been fairly decent.
No, this is terrifying.
Yeah,
he's got the great start at Baltimore with 11 Ks.
If you're in a 15-team league, you're probably starting this, right?
No, I mean,
I don't want to, but
I would rather start a middle reliever. I don't trust Andrew Abbott.
Is Matty Wood still doing his blow up? I can't remember.
Get ready if he is.
Yeah, because this definitely has the feelings of a guy who's going to be started in like 90% of main event leagues. That Matty Wood is going to drop like the big axe thing on him.
Because here's the thing too. You're talking about the walk rate.
Yeah, he's still doing the terrible outing.
So get ready. 15% walk rate for Andrew Abbott, right?
Yeah.
And so you think, okay, if he's avoiding the zone and just walking guys, at least he won't give up homers. 1.4 homer 9. He's still giving up the homers. I can't do it. I can't do this even in a 15. And I know I just told you when you talked about Povich, I said, well, what else are you going to do? I will start a middle reliever over Abbott. I think you're asking for way too much trouble here.
I don't think you're
nearly enough upside.
Yeah. No, I don't think you're wrong at all.
All right, let's move on from Abbott here to Luis L. Ortiz. Is Luis L. Ortiz actually a W? He's been having some decent starts with Cleveland. Is it enough? I think his last one was actually, or no, two starts ago was bad, and then he rebounded. So, and you wouldn't have started him against the Yankees. So I really don't hold that against him. It counts in the numbers, sure. But where were you starting Luis L. Ortiz against the Yankees? Nowhere, I don't think. So his 5 walks, 4 runs, and 4 1/3, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he bounced back with 6 1/3 scoreless against Minnesota. This week, he'll get at Washington and home to Philly. Where do you like Ortiz, if anywhere?
It's interesting because when you said, like, he's put some good starts together, yeah, I was like, his line's terrible, but it's really that first start. He got crushed in that first start. And
again, you're never starting him at San Diego anyway. So the 2 bad starts, the Yankees and Padres for Luis L. Ortiz, nobody should have been starting those anywho.
Yeah. He gets a lot of strikeouts, but he also walks a lot of guys. So, and the command isn't very good either. I think you're really just kind of picking starts with a guy like Luis L. Ortiz. And the problem is Philadelphia's on this docket. And Philadelphia still scares the crap out of me. With the guys they have. I respect the Nats too, but I think I might still find room for this in 15s. I think in 15s you probably should.
Yeah. Very streamable here. Even if you're using him as a team streamer right now, I think this is a time to get Ortiz in. And
especially because so you have like the inverse of like God, who was it that started against the Dodgers and then didn't get the Miami start?
Grant Holmes.
Grant Holmes. Yeah, it's like the inverse of that. Like the Philadelphia starts on Sunday. So if there's any sort of weather issues, you lose that Philadelphia start.
If they skip or any sort of thing like that, you're like, oh darn, okay, not the end of the world.
Yeah, and then you wouldn't have to necessarily eat that start, and then he would line up in that scenario, he'd line up for a 2-start versus Milwaukee and Cincinnati the next week. So
which would you prefer? If you could perfectly map it out, would you rather the at Washington home to Philly or home to Milwaukee at Cincy?
Home to Milwaukee at Cincy, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I'm really torn. I think they're kind of equal if I can fence it. I know that's not a good answer, but like, do you really want to go to Cincy? We just talked about how well they're playing. Milwaukee's not super easy. And then Washington, they're kind of an upstart, scrappy team that I definitely respect. And then the Philly, of course, is the scary one there.
I do think this is only 15-team consideration. And 10 to 12, you should not be starting Luis L. Ortiz.
No, probably. 10's no way. 12s, I wonder if maybe you can consider. I don't have a good feel for 12s because I'm not in one, so I don't really know what's available.
I don't think you should be. I think, especially a week with such good 2 starts in other places.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah, I
don't think you should. But
I think the depth
in a 15, you're probably rolling with it.
Yeah, I think pretty high on the board. Of guys who will be available, right? If you're talking about streaming guys that you could potentially pick up, I think Luis L. Ortiz's 2-step here in a 15. It is pretty high on the board. Chase Dollander. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, Justin. I forgot to get him out of my lineup. I did not want to start him this week, but I had to because Locke came and went, and I ended up getting the start, and it was awesome. He was great. 5 2/3, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. So the core scale's not huge there, but a win. against Atlanta in Coors. You got to feel good about that. Unfortunately, he did leave with a busted nail.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
this
don't know
is
if
going
he's-
to affect the two-step,
It might.
but it's Detroit and San Diego at home. Let's assume it doesn't start until Tuesday either, so he gets the extra day there. Let's assume the nail's fine.
You're not starting this. No.
Anywhere?
Stop.
Okay, I'm just asking the questions. Don't get mad at me.
In Colorado versus your Tigers and then
San Diego.
Padres.
Couldn't pay me.
No.
Couldn't pay me to use this.
Please just move your lineup now for next week so you don't forget this one.
Yes, I actually I'm gonna freaking do that, dude.
Yeah,
you're
like,
onto something here because I will be crying if I get stuck with this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: should you cut him?
Yes.
Okay, because he goes to Arizona the following week, and I don't much want to use that either.
No. And then he's home. And then he's home versus Philadelphia, and maybe. Well, no, he won't get another 2 starts. So yeah, he's home versus Philadelphia, and then the following week he's at the Cubs and at the Mets. Like I
don't want to use any of those starts for Chase Dollander.
You were cutting him this weekend.
What about the people that spent like $350 on him?
You're idiots. Why are you spending $300
I don't
on
know.
a Rockies pitcher?
I didn't.
People that did that?
I think so. I got him for $58, so I'll take my one win.
Yeah.
Let me see what he went for. I'll look that up as we continue on.
I know he's the top prospect, and if he was pitching anywhere but Colorado.
That's the thing. No, he's not pitching anywhere, but he's pitching in Colorado. Yeah. So why would you pay that much? I thought 58. I feel like even I was a little high there, but 58 to 52, I wasn't that high. I ended up being pretty efficient with the bid. That was back on 413. All right, I'll set you up on the next guy. Oh yeah, we're back out to Chicago here.
I spent like $90 on Jesus Tinoco to destroy my ratios this week.
That was, you're like, hey, can you come on my team and just destroy my ratios?
Yeah.
Okay, so the highest, I found it pretty easily here. 338, back up of 58. Here's the funny thing. Like everywhere where he went high, except for like one league, there was nobody backing it up. 285 to 95, 285 to 76, 217 to 72, 193 to 37. You get the point here. This is Chase Dollander's bid.
Rockies pitcher.
Yeah. In the main event, spending triple digits. My 58, by the way, 5th lowest. So no, I wasn't that high.
Why are these in my leagues?
I'm sure there's plenty in your league.
I'm sure. Cheap. Yeah.
We all get them. They all kind of spread out over the course. You just want it to be when you want the guy, right? Like,
absolutely.
Where's the cheap bid when it's my guy? Where's the high bid on somebody I don't want?
He went for 89 in mine.
It's about right in the middle of the pack there.
Yeah.
So, was it the backup of 81 or 79?
79.
Okay, I'm seeing that there for the people under Matt Stairs. Anyway, let's go out to Chicago. Talk a couple White Sox here. You already brought up Sean Burke. Shane Smith is also going. They both get at Kansas City and home to Miami. About as good a two-step as you can muster that doesn't include their own team being on the White Sox. Is it good enough to run both here? You already expressed some interest in Burke. I'm a big Shane Smith guy. I'm definitely running him in 15s. What about 12s? You can object to 15s if you want, but what about 12s with these two as well?
Burke was an interesting start. I don't know if you watched this at all, but
I did not.
He loaded up. I wrote about it last night, so I sat down and watched it. He loaded up the bases in the first inning, and Luis Robert stole a grand slam away. So like this line should
game of inches, baby.
Yeah, this game should have been a lot different. But after that first inning, like Burke was actually mixing pitches really well. All three of his top pitches were 30% CSW or above. Like he actually, like, you went like, okay, I can see what's going on here. The problem is he just does not have very good command. And even though he survived the rest of that start, like you could see he misses his spots at times. And like, I think that will lead to disaster outings, especially because the control isn't super great either. He's an almost 10% walk guy.
But can these teams take advantage of Burke's?
This is one of those classic situations though, where we go, if you're not starting him here, where are you?
Should not be on your roster.
He should not.
And this goes for Shane Smith too.
Yeah, but I think you are starting Shane Smith everywhere. Like Shane Smith has looked great, and I know like he's not going to keep up what he's doing.
2.23 ERA, 108 WHIP.
Yeah, he's got a 3.98 xERA, but part of like the regression that's in those underlying numbers is like he just doesn't give up home runs. And I'm not saying he's going to give up a 0.28 homers per 9, but I also don't expect him to be over 1. He's never been over 1 at any level.
You're talking Smith now, right?
I moved over Shane Smith. Shane Smith's getting lucky. Like his BABIP's low, his strand rate's
running
high.
I prefer to say running hot.
Yeah, but I think he can run hot for.
I think so too. He's got good enough stuff too. I think this is slam dunks and 15s for both these guys. What about 12s though? Because again, their win potential is going to be very low, even against Kansas City and Miami, because the White Sox are still worse than both those clubs.
Shane Smith is a yes. I think you're like I said. I think you can start Shane Smith in any format.
I think so too. I think he's on the table in 10s.
In 10s, you got to look at your other options and go.
Yeah, you don't have to, but you could in the right scenario.
I can make the argument for starting Shane Smith in a 10.
What about Berkey in a 12?
I think that is more like this is on the table because of the matchups. It's and I'm not starting him. I'm not starting Burke in a 12, but I'm not starting Burke in a 10. But in a 12, I think it really depends on what my other options are. He's in
the pool of startables though.
Yeah, sure. Because this is like I said, I would take Burke over Povich.
Right, which you are doing.
Which I am doing in our board bet. But I don't think it's as locked in as Shane Smith right now, especially because this is the White Sox. Like the White Sox are still terrible. So
they're so bad, dude.
Like they're
won so bad.
Though the Rockies are giving them a run for their money. The Rockies have won 6 games this year,
and that's with 2 in a row. They've won 2 in a row now. They were 4-25. They're now 6.
My Giants yesterday.
Speaking of those Rockies, great inadvertent segue there. Let's go to Jackson Jobe at Colorado, home to Texas. 15s, obviously, of course. I think even 12s, of course. I think I want to discuss 10s with Jackson Jobe because right now it's been more style than substance. Yeah. I love the 3.38 ERAs looking really nice, but it comes with a 133 WHIP and just an 18% K rate. I think he shows the elements that can boost that K rate. As somebody who's watched every one of his starts, like I see how this works. I see where he's going, but we got to get there too. Do you start him in 10s with Colorado on tap? Like they suck, but the environment's tough. Where do we come out with Jackson Jobe in shallow formats?
I mean, obviously, like I think as you're kind of alluding to right now, you're starting Jobe in 15s and probably most 12s.
I think so. I think you gotta. 15's 360 windmill slam dunk. Like there's no, but 12s maybe is a little bit more borderline, and then 10s even more borderline, and that's where I'm really focused is the 10s and 12s.
We have to start having the Dustin May conversation.
Yep.
Which is
you mean in terms?
The stuff is really, really good.
Yeah,
but he allows
net
so much contact. He's almost 90% zone contact. And that is just not going to work in terms of getting the strikeouts. Like you can get good results because you pitch in a good park, and the defense behind you isn't terrible. But yeah, this is just so much contact. And for reference point, 90% zone contact is like top 15 in all of baseball. In terms of
don't want to be top 15 in that.
Those are, because so the reason why I love zone contact for hitters is you give yourself the opportunity to get lucky. When you allow a lot of zone contact for pitchers, you give yourself the opportunity to get unlucky. Right. And so like this is the Miles Mikolas situation where you can go, hey, like you can get out of innings really, really fast. You could also be in innings forever. because hits are just falling. And that hasn't happened yet for Jackson Jobe, but it could, especially when you're also walking guys at an almost 14% clip, and you're really just getting lucky on an unreal 224 BABIP and an almost 80% strand rate. I definitely feel like this could be a regression week. Again, you're starting in 15s and probably most 12s, but I think in 10s, I'm saying no.
Yeah.
In Colorado, where like that BABIP gets boosted, right?
That's exactly it. That's exactly where you don't want to have that sort of contact situation with Jackson Jobe, is in Colorado, because even a team like that can get you, because they're just going to be finding grass all over the place.
Like, these look like really good matchups, but this is another one of these, like, could be like on Matty Wood's Twitter feed where you don't want to be if you're a starting pitcher.
No, I agree. I love Jobe. And again, when you watch any of his starts, even the Houston one, which was his worst of the year, you see how it works. Like, the elements are there, but he needs to put it together. And right now he's still a rookie. In classic rookie struggles, kind of figuring it out on the job. I wish they would give him a little bit more leeway in some of the starts. Obviously, I had no problem with how he was handled in the Houston start, but there's been a couple where I'm like, push him a little bit here. Or no, excuse me, I'm confusing him with Mize. Mize had a start where they took him out, and I was just like, you're taking him out way too early. But anyway, I like Jobe in 15s. Well, I'm starting him in 15s. I don't know if I like him. I'm still nervous, but yeah, I think you got to run it. Ronel Blanco has not been able to fully repeat what he did last year, and nobody necessarily
hasn't thrown a no-hitter.
He has not thrown a no-hitter, and then flirted with one the start after, the way he did last year. In fact, his BABIP is 240, which is still good. Don't get me wrong. It's actually very good, but it's 20 points higher than last year. That tells you how crazy he was with the hit suppression last year. And the margin for error, that's what we're talking about here, is like, when you run that kind of BABIP and you know it's going to regress, it just really kills your margin for error, because now it's really exacerbating the homer and walk issues that he has. So he's got a 5.08 ERA and a 131 WHIP. He was a lot better the last couple times out. In fact, he was okay against Detroit. He was really good against Toronto. He gets at Milwaukee and home to Cincy. Do we like Ronel Blanco right now? Anywhere?
This is such a weird guy. Yeah, because the BABIP's low, but the strand rate's also low. So you look at this, the walks and the homers, and you go, well, there's the problem. The command and the control must just be completely off. But then you go look at his location plus. His location plus is better than his stuff plus.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even really know what's going on here.
He's got a 15% swinging strike rate, which you'd think would be generating more Ks, and yet his K rate's down to 22%. It's a mixed bag here with Ronel Blanco. I don't know. I think in 15s, though, I think I'm finding my way toward him. Because again, who else?
Yeah, I mean, in 15s, you're probably just rolling with him. But
what about 12s then?
I've got him in a 12, and
yeah. So let's laser focus there, because 10s, I don't think we're starting with Ronel Blanco.
I'm gonna go look at my 12 teamer and see, would I start him, or am I gonna probably starting him this week, because my options aren't bad here. Let's see. Okay, so we've got Ronel Blanco. Oh, I guess I don't have him in this league. I thought I did.
Let's pretend you do.
I'm gonna pretend I did. Maybe I think so. This is labor, which is a 12. So it would be like, would I start Ronel Blanco over Zac Gallen? I think I'm taking Gallen there, right?
Gallen, yeah.
Would I start him? I'm not gonna start him over Bailey Ober. I'm not gonna start him over. Oh, that's an interesting one. I wonder who Robbie Ray has. Robbie Ray has
Cubs in Wrigley. I might go Blanco.
I might go Blanco just for the 2 starts. Like, Ray has not been great either.
I shake my fist at you Ray lovers who brought me on board.
I was one of them, so I am sorry for that.
Now, I am my own person.
I think
I can make my own decisions,
but
I don't need to blame other people. But I was a late convert, and right now I'm not enjoying my conversion.
Yeah, no, I think I probably won't start Blanco in most
Ronel Blanco in 12s.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's probably the right move. I don't think he's a 0% start in 12s, but I think you're trying not to.
Yeah.
I think there's just too much scare here. You want to be careful with it if you can. Tyler Anderson is going to invite Toronto and Baltimore out to LA this week, and or Anaheim or whatever the hell, I don't care. Any love for that? He does have a 2.67 ERA, so credit where it's due there to Tyler Anderson. I don't know what his underlyings are. I'm just looking at the ERA there.
They're all over the place like that.
It's a 104 whip though too, but it is a 5.11 FIP. So where are we at with Tyler Anderson and 2 home starts?
Yeah, 5.11 FIP, but like a 3.60 something xERA, which is kind of weird. That those.
So that xERA would be neutralizing the homers, right?
No, the xERA just is deserved. Typically. The xFIP neutralizes, but the xFIP is 5.07.
Okay, so he's maybe then not. He has an 11% homer to fly ball. Okay, never mind. I thought with the 1.6 homer 9, I thought maybe that Tyler Anderson had like a 25 homer to fly ball, but he actually doesn't. Wow.
Yeah, he lost so much hard contact.
Yeah, he has a 169 BABIP that is doing. I don't want to say most of the work. How about all of the work?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is doing a lot.
I don't think I'd start Tyler Anderson anywhere. And you know what?
Yeah, Toronto and Baltimore. Toronto's kind of scary, but Baltimore's not.
No. Reverse that. It's Toronto that is not hitting.
Oh, Toronto.
Well, actually, I will reverse. Baltimore against lefties, they're bad.
Yeah.
Against righties, they're good. And Toronto's actually dead last against righties. Okay, so I had righty numbers in my head. You're actually right.
Yeah.
Against lefties, Toronto is 5th in WOBA and Baltimore's 30th. So mea culpa on that one. Against righties, they basically flip. Toronto's 30th and Baltimore. Actually, they completely flip. That's crazy. They are dead inverse of each other. So against lefties,
this definitely has the makings of getting his face caved in.
And isn't this going to be on Matty Wood's thing? 2.67 ERA, 104 whip. People are going to be like, I'm going to give this a shot. And he's going to get crushed. Tyler Anderson.
I think Anderson will get crushed here. I think this.
I'm not starting this anywhere.
I think in 15s you may roll with it, but I don't think you should. No, I'm saying I don't think you should.
You're begging for trouble.
Because we're going to have a question about this next guy, whether we should be starting him.
Let's talk about Sandy Alcantara. Now he's got the super disparate 2-step, the one that you can't get more disparate than this, except for the one that Grant Holmes got that never came to be, the Dodgers Miami. Sandy gets Dodgers at White Sox. And again, just like that Grant Holmes one, the front end is the tough one. So if anything happens, a skipped start, a weather situation, you lose the good one, at the White Sox here. Sandy looks like your classic TJ returner, which to your credit, you did not fall for the spring hype. You said, stop it. You guys are getting too hyped on this spring. And I was part of that. Even though I'm also an anti TJ returner, I'm like, nah, it's Sandy. He looks great. I'm making an exception and I'm a dumbass because this looks like pretty classic TJ return struggles, especially with the command. Is there any world where you're starting Sandy right now?
No.
Not even 15s, right?
No, but I will say, if you drafted him, you believed in him. They're gonna roll with it. You shouldn't.
Yep.
Because
they're gonna see the White Sox on there and they're gonna stick with him.
Yeah, but there's a chance, like you said, like something happens. There's rain in Chicago, and all of a sudden, you're not getting that. You're just getting your face caved in by the Dodgers. But this is exactly. And I love all the response tweets I got to. I don't know if you saw my tweet about Sandy this last.
No, week. What did you say?
It was, like I think it was an underdog tweet of like, this is what Sandy has done this year. And I just put the gif of Troy from Community, like sitting in his chair, like shaking back and forth because he can't hold himself back from doing something. And I was like, trying not to take the victory lap. And there were a number of people who were like, your main event team sucks. I don't know that you should be. I'm like,
okay, what's that have to do with anything?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
sheesh.
This was a bad process. And and there were lots of really smart people in the industry that fell for the bad process. I do this too at times with guys that I love, but you should not be drafting guys coming off of Tommy John in the top 150 picks. Like it very rarely ends well. And the only one that seemingly may end well is Strider, who's out on the IL with a different injury, right?
Yeah, that he got, playing catch. Okay, this joke is pretty funny though from Steven, who said, "Get Jacob Young out of your lineup before you start victory lane."
I wanted to. I put in like 8 bids on outfielders this week and didn't get a single one in that league.
He's 2 for 5 on stolen bases.
It's
Jacob Young
killing me right now.
That's
dude.
the
I'm
one thing
trying
he's
to get him out of
supposed
my
to be able
lineup,
to do.
and I didn't win a single bid on
That's
the guy needed it.
frustrating.
Like it is like, and I'm just like sitting there like there's not. I have to start him. Like I don't have another backup outfielder. In that
I've been
league.
there where you have to keep the crummy guy in, and you're just like, damn it.
Yeah, like it's a Friday switch right here, and I still can't move him out.
Yeah, which is always frustrating when you don't have anything to do for the week. So we're out on Sandy right now. I don't think we're starting him anywhere. Now, I know what you're going to say, because you're going to say the people that drafted him, they believe in him, they're going to keep him. But should you cut Sandy Alcantara?
Right now? Sorry. Yes, you should cut him. In a 15, you're not cutting him because there just aren't.
Because there's nothing better to get. Yeah. You might as well just reserve. But in a 12 and 10s where he's still on a roster.
Sandy Alcantara should not be rostered in 10s and 12s. He will continue to be rostered at a high rate because of the name value. And obviously a keeper league, this is different. I think he will get back on track next season. Right.
Maybe even later this year. I'm not even ruling out later this year.
If anything, this is great for his 2026 value.
Right. Keep it down for us to reinvest next year.
Yeah, because I will be back in next season. But yeah, in a 10-12, he should not be rostered right now.
I agree. And I love Sandy. I'm a huge fan. I want him to be good, but right now you're clinging to nothing.
Yeah.
Boy, this was a bummer. Tobias Myers struggled early, and Pat Murphy said, we're scooping you out real quick here. I don't want to say as a punishment, but like there was chatter about it afterwards that like he didn't let him work through it. It was 49 pitches through 2 innings. He walked 3 White Sox. Pat Murphy saw enough and said, get out. Whereas I think somebody maybe a bit more established would have gotten the opportunity, or maybe because it was his second start of the year. Like whatever
that's exactly what it is. I think it was second start of the year. He's returning after, missing the first part of the year with injury. You don't want him throwing that many pitches in back-to-back innings. You like best case scenario, you're getting 3 out of the guy. Like it's
that, and it was a 30-pitch second inning, and that's 31 pitch to be exact. And 30 pitches is where that danger zone hits in an inning. Yeah. And so Pat Murphy pulled the cord early, which I respect for his team context and everything. Yeah. I was a little annoyed from fantasy because I wanted Tobias to have a good start here against the White Sox.
But you weren't getting a good start anyways. It could only really get worse. Like it really
true. I just wanted maybe a couple extra innings, but to your point, he probably wasn't going to get more than another inning.
The right thing. He absolutely
he did. Pat Murphy did the right thing. He protected his guy.
Yeah,
I do respect it. But now you got Houston and at Tampa Bay. Where do you go from here with Myers?
No.
Are you holding him then?
Well, let's take a look.
Minnesota the following week.
Okay, so we got Minnesota the following week. I'm actually
they suck. They suck so bad right now. I was wrong about them at least a month in. I thought they were going to rebound. I thought they had enough talent to still be part of that mix in the Central, and they suck right now, dude.
So he gets Minnesota the following week because
it's Tobias Myers of Milwaukee we're talking about.
5. And then he will line up at Pittsburgh after
You're loving that. So not cut Myers.
You're not cutting him, but you definitely aren't starting him this week. A guy like Myers who allows I'm sure people will, but
I know we got to come back to the fact that like who the hell else are you going to start?
The stuff is just not good. Like he relies on like getting weak contact and
amazing defense.
Yeah, and I just worry that in that park it's going to be ugly. And so, like, I don't want to start him in a 15. I know people will, but again, this definitely has the makings of like the studs and duds type week.
Yeah,
where like I'm gonna be interesting when I write my article today on the 2 starts that I do every week.
Yeah, because you're gonna have some easy ones. Pablo, Reagan.
There's gonna be a lot of guys in the must start tier and probably should start tier. And a lot of guys in the desperate measures, which is pretty much
not much in between.
And not much in between, which is where I write. Like I don't write about my the must starts and the no start dudes.
Yeah.
So
well, that's frustrating because the meat
article this week.
The meat of the article is not going to have a whole lot here because this next guy is, I think, going to be in the desperate measures, Carmen Mlodzinski. And again, I'll reiterate, we haven't talked about him in a while because why would we? But Mlodzinski is actually Mlodzinski, y'all. I think I might have said Mlodzinski. It's Mlodzinski, Carmen Mlodzinski. He goes to St. Louis and Atlanta. Is there any universe where you're starting him?
No.
Okay, moving on. We have Landen Roupp, your guy. Watched him against, was it King the other day? Yeah, I think it was him and King, which didn't quite live up to the billing because Roupp wasn't amazing, but his stuff, watching him is still enjoyable. So even though he didn't do his best against San Diego, you kind of tip your cap because San Diego's tough. I didn't mind starting him because I've got him in the rotation right now pretty consistently, but it is 2 bad ones in a row. And I even said after the first one, I said, we're not jumping ship after 1 bad start for Roupp. This is 2 in a row, but it's Milwaukee and San Diego, 2 very competent teams. So I want to also factor that in. But add it all up now, we have 6 starts of a 5.10 ERA, 163 whip. Is Hayden Birdsong knocking on the door? No. Is Landen Roupp someone worth starting? Where are we at here against at the Cubs and at Minnesota? So 1 good, 1 bad.
The at the Cubs one is the one that scares me because again, this is one of those situations.
It's the front end,
yeah, where Roupp starts at Minnesota on the weekend, and if something happens, all of a sudden everybody gets pushed back a day. He may not get that start. Like I know that the last few starts have not been great for Roupp, but the underlying numbers all support Roupp. Like he has a sub 5% barrel rate right now. His hard hit percentage is 26.7. His xERA,
which is really good, by the way.
Yeah, it's very, very good. It's elite. His xERA is 3.34.
Yeah, so what's a 3.78 BABIP?
Yeah, it's the BABIP. He's just getting BABIP to death. And part of it is 2 walks. Like he has
right. He compounds it with the walks. Absolutely.
He's got really good command. Like he's, in spite of the fact that he has given up 1.2 homers per 9, like he actually, like his homer to fly ball rate is much higher than it has been pretty much his entire career through the minors. So it's at 14% right now, but he's been mostly like a 7% homer to fly ball rate guy throughout his career. Like he does not give up home runs,
right?
Usually. So like I actually think like this is a really good buy low. And maybe instead of writing about Gallen today in my buy low, I will write about Landen Roupp. And the Giants have kind of committed to him as a dude in this rotation. I don't think that he's going to lose his spot to Birdsong or anybody else anytime soon. So I think
Birdsong should have Hicks's spot. He should have had it from day one. Why do they keep fucking starting Jordan Hicks? Please stop.
Yeah.
God.
Contract money.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
I think that is what it is at this point.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, dude. So anyway, sorry to derail, but Roupp, we like him.
In a 15, I think you're definitely starting.
Yep.
The problem is with the Cubs on the docket, you're a little bit afraid, but at least you get Minnesota most likely at the end of the week.
Right. Again, something could happen, but we're going to plan to get both. I think Roupp's considerable in 10s and 12s, though, too.
Yeah.
It's at least on the table. It depends what you got, but I'm not going to run from it just because of the surface ERA of 5.10. I think the stuff is nasty here. 26% K rate.
Yeah.
Do not run away because of the ERA and whip here. I think he could have a really nice 2-step, even with the Cubs being here on the docket.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, the old stalwart, José Berríos at the Angels and at Seattle. Not a bad 2-step here out west. I think it's maybe not slam dunk in 50, actually pretty close. Because again, as we outlined all episode,
looked really good against Boston. These are 2 good matchups.
What about 10s and 12s with Berríos?
I think you're starting him. I do. Now this has all the makings of like, oh, look at the start, and then it's José Berríos does José Berríos type thing. And against good teams, he shoves, and bad teams, he struggles. But
he does play down to his competition sometimes, doesn't he?
He really does. But like I got lucky. So in like my main event, I had to start Berríos versus Boston, and I did not want to because because Colregan's lost to start this week because
Right.
with that groin issue, and I didn't have another option because I made the decision on Tuesday after the Monday games went. So it was like either take the 0 or start José Berríos, and I put José Berríos in, and I was all like,
he treated you very well.
It was one of those where I was sitting there watching the start, kind of just shaking a little bit, like, when is this going to go wrong? But it didn't. He did allow a lot of hits, but like he didn't walk guys, and he got a bunch of strikeouts, didn't allow runs. So I think you are starting Berríos in every format.
Back-to-back gems against the Yankees and Red Sox here. You did mention, you're worried.
Like I said, like, yeah, this is going to be one of those things with Berríos where like you're like, of course, like he just went toe-to-toe with two of the best lineups in baseball. And
surely he'll take these two teams on.
Now he's going to Seattle. Like, it'll probably end up blowing up in your face. But I don't know.
Let's have some confidence. I'm a Berríos fan.
World where you're not starting.
No, 15s you have to. I think 12s you pretty much have to, and then 10s it's very much on the table.
Yeah.
If you have a depth of rotation and but here's the thing too: the matchups are too good. I think I
don't know how you don't start him.
Yeah, I don't see where you're getting away from José Berríos anywhere with this two-step, and hopefully it goes well for him. I've always liked him. By the way, he's a 10-year vet now. Boy, we are old. I still remember him as a prospect, and always kind of thinking he was going to take that next step. And he's just been like a solid mid-rotation guy. He's never really jumped up to that number 2 starter or ace type. He's always been that really good 3-4 type. But a decade of that.
Yeah. Theater guy that like is just
is the one bad season, 2022. It started bad and never got on track, but other than that, he's damn good every year. So I like Berríos. All right, that's gonna do it.
Breaking news.
Jazz
Chisholm to the IL with oblique injury.
The worst. We hate
nothing you can do, but 4 to 6 weeks right there. That is what the timetable probably is going to be. So, yeah.
Obliques are stupid.
Yeah.
Can you get oblique removal surgery? Because then you can't hurt it if you don't have it, right?
Use the old Matthew Berry line,
just get that thing taken out. Ooh. Here's what I did not realize, because I don't have them anywhere. Jazz has been terrible, slash line wise. 181, 304, 410. He does have 7 homers and 6 steals, so you're not upset with your overall production. But I did not realize his average was in the tank.
Oh, it's a 200 BABIP.
I thought the torpedo bat made him impossible to get out. Remember when people were talking about that? Remember that stupid fucking conversation that we spent a week on? What a waste of time. And we knew it at the time. Anyone with a brain about bats was telling people, shut up. It's just a type of bat. And everyone wanted to, God, I'm getting worked up. But
it was
the whole conversation. Maybe it was so annoying.
Did you see the interview this week with Christian Yelich?
No.
So it was some sort of Barstool, and I'm not a Barstool guy by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a Barstool interview, and he was all like, yeah, that's our bad. We got crushed so bad.
Right. That it made it a whole talking point.
And it made it the worst story in all of sports.
Yeah, it was so stupid. The only good thing about that story blowing up is that it put baseball into the talk everywhere. It ESPN finally was talking baseball, but for the dumbest reason. Because I'm sorry.
They're still talking about it.
I know. And they don't matter. Like, this isn't me saying like don't use them or they're bad or anything. All I'm saying is they don't make you good. It's just a type of bat to use. It's just a piece of equipment. It's not magic. Nestor Cortez caught a bad one against a very good lineup. And because there was a different bat, we had to pretend that it was the bat that did it and not the freaking players.
I'm not playing on Yahoo, but do they still have the torpedo bat? I wonder. Someone's gonna have to let us know.
Yeah, let us know on that.
Like, do they still have a little icon for torpedo bats?
I do like that they did that. That was kind of cute. But I watch these guys called the Baseball Bat Bros, and he's always testing bats, doing different things. And right away, he's just like, okay, all this excitement over it. It's just a bat. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't make you better. If it's tailored to your swing, it can help you. But again, I leaned on this when we were talking about it at the time. My favorite thing that I heard, and I heard it from Jake Peavy, was it's a golf club. It's a club in your bag. That's it. And it might even be worth using in some situations, but not others. When you just need a base hit and you're worried about getting jammed up, maybe somebody with a nasty cutter who can run it in on you. Okay. But other than that, what the fuck up about them? They don't just turn you into a monster. So anyway, rant over there. Good luck writing your two-step article there. You got some meat on the bone there, especially with Landen Roupp. And maybe you have to write up Sandy and let people know to move on.
I'll be writing him up for sure.
And preach some caution with Jobe, because I love him and I'm excited overall about him. But for this two-step, I think it's dicey. So be careful out there. Justin, we'll be back early next week, Monday or Tuesday, discussing some strikeout and walk rate improvers on the pitching side, some of the biggest improvers there, and if we believe in it. And then hopefully Joe's healthy enough to be back with us next week. Until then, oh, wait, are you getting together on Sunday?
Should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, we definitely are. And we have a special guest. Eric Smolsky is going to be joining.
Oh, let's go. That'll be wonderful. All right. Then I will talk to you early next week. Take care.
Take it easy.